Hey everyone, welcome to today's Bonsai. On today's episode, it's the White Paper Birch. I got the White Paper Birch about 2 years ago, so it's been in this pot for 2 seasons of growth now. And you see I've got some ties here because I got this sucker to grow just in the last year or two from the when I first got this tree, and it's as tall as everything else. I've chopped it down to here from what was originally about an 8-foot tree, 6 to 8 feet tree. This one here was a pretty decent chop. It's growing straight up right here. It's not healing as great right here. I'm thinking about taking this tree and chopping it down to this branch right here. It's growing straight up right there. It'd be a good new leader. I'd have some taper there. Birch trees are notorious for just dropping branches at random times, and the dieback you can't predict. So a lot of people don't do like a bonsai tree with them. And my whole goal is to always make a forest with the birch, because whether I have a lot of branches or not down here, I don't mind so much. And most forest trees, as they get thicker, don't have a lot of big branches that are intertwined and all here, because the canopy hides the growth from the inner part of the forest, right? So I want these to have that white paper birch look with a forest in a nice flat, maybe even I think about a slate planting someday. A slate planting with all kinds of birch trees would be just phenomenal. This back one here is starting to get really super thick. These might be all completely attached, I do not know. I put it in a pot 2 years ago from the nursery pot, so we're going to dig in today and see what we have to offer here. If I can, I would like to split this into this 3-some and this 2-some, or these 4 and have this as a solo because it's so thick and big, and hopefully I'll get some other suckers to grow. We'll see what the roots provide for me, if I can split them or not, and if I can't, they'll all go back into this pot probably, and we'll let them grow some more. So we're going to go ahead and get started on this guy. So when I watch, or rather when I look at comments from you folks on the YouTube channel, there was one comment that stuck out to me a couple of months back, maybe even in the last year. One person's comment was, if I could count the number of update shows or follow-up shows on 2 hands, I'd be lucky. So this is my 3rd year in the YouTube world, and about my 6th year, 5th year maybe with some serious bonsai, 5th year. And so I have very few trees that are in a position where I can show a lot of massive changes and a lot of updates. However, that said, this year I think that's that year where I can start to show some more follow-ups. So again, I got this tree, this clump of birch, about 2 years ago. Let's take a few pictures and look at a few memories of this tree before we continue to work on, or as I continue to work on this tree. So take a peek at where this tree started up until where we are here today. We'd go up to the cabin, there were certain areas of the drive where there would be a big patch of birch trees. So some mini birch forests amongst all the pines and poplars. And I always wanted to try the birch forest. And so a couple years ago when I stumbled across this birch clump, I think was discounted at like 20 or 25 bucks. And a lot of the clumps come in 3 to 5 trees. This was a 5, I believe, or 4. And I was really curious how many years it would take to become white, to get that white paper birch. And they're just starting to show subtle hints of changing color. Some of these are starting to look like it's going to be turning that little bit of color of white here in the next year or two. So again, this is 2 years in this pot, and they have thickened up quite well. And so I'm curious if we will see white at all this year, or if it be another year or two out. But at some point, I will have white paper birch trees and we'll be in good shape. So I got my drainage screens at the bottom. We still have the wire in there. I can't see where that. Oh, this one's really grown in. Yeah, a lot of roots in that one. This back one here too. Sorry, I can't show you that. I'll jam the tree into the garage, but this is coming out really rough because there's wire down there, but there's also some massive roots. So let's try to show you now here. Got some roots at the bottom there. So I'm going to go over to this side now and make sure I'm careful not to break any limbs. Alright, there's one of the wires. Okay, got that wire out of there. Maybe be able to recycle that. Can't tell where that one comes out yet, so we'll wait on that one a little bit. So, a lot of roots looks like. Looks like a very healthy structure. And we're going to keep breaking up this soil here, and then we'll see if we can split these off in a little bit. Cleaning up the root structure a little bit. So let's go ahead and see if I can chuckle again. Been at this for quite a while. Yeah. These trees are not going to probably separate, which is fine. I was at about a 50-50 thought that I could maybe separate this side or one of these smaller ones, but these are all super attached. And you can tell right here with these two right here, this tree comes down here and forms this root right here, and these two have either blended together, they've grafted together. This one right here has a nice radial root pattern. It's got this out here, this out here, this out here, one back here, and a thick one back here. So wonderful radial root pattern. This one's a little more shoddy with these two big ones, and then with this big thick one in the back. But again, this is a forest. This is a forest planting, so these are just growing naturally next to each other, and we'll be able to expose more of the nabari here of this whole forest structure, and we'll be able to just we'll just repot this one, and we'll continue the journey of this particular forest without having the opportunity, it doesn't look like, to separate them. Had a little bit of a kind of a weird knob in there. Took that out, cleaned that one out. So there was a lot of soil still in this section, a lot of really tiny roots growing in here, and that's where all these suckers keep popping up. So we'll of course put some more bonsai soil in here, and then we will have some sphagnum moss on top of this again, and I'm sure this thing will hopefully continue to grow a few more suckers on here, and will expand the forest. So again, I've exposed the forest floor a little bit here, and what I like about this is, and I can't say this enough this spring, and you'll probably get sick of me saying this, I love up at the North Shore, and I love all the exposed roots, and I don't want everything to wash away. You know, we don't want erosion that's going to kill forests and kill trees and kill coastlines. But a little bit of erosion and a little bit of age, and like, hey, this has been a forest that's been around a long time and people have come through and enjoyed it, hopefully not wrecked it and trampled all over it. But some of the water and Mother Nature and just the elements have created this neat forest floor that has all these roots that go in different directions and create a lot of really cool forest floors. So this one will have a little bit more of that this year, just a slight amount, because I'm exposing some of these roots. But this tree could separate, but this root right here grows over this one, over this tree, and connects to, these are not going anywhere. This is a permanent forest for time eternal for me, which is totally fine. It's kind of what I expected. Like I said, at least a 50-50 chance that was going to happen, and I'm okay with that. So I just took the hose to the birch forest, and that hose, you know, a lot gentler than any poking I'm doing with these tools. And of course it helps to wash away a lot of that dirt. So the bottom, you can see what I was just cutting away there. Right here, you got more exposure to that. I can see more to cut away if I want to go a little bit deeper. And you can see some of these edges here. Some of the dirt wants to peel away now that the water hit it. So you can kind of, oh, nice glove on that tree there. You got more of the roots exposed now. So take that hose to it and be much more gentle on it, and then you can go ahead and you can cut some of these roots now that are popping up in places you might not want them. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a little gentle root prune here. There are so many little roots in here. It's so thick in here. Don't even know where these roots are even growing. But if you can take a couple of them out that are not growing the way you want, the thing I might have to be careful of with this root structure now is I have a nice big concave world right here that if the water won't drain out, we can have a lot of water sitting there. It could have moisture problems. So I'm going to have to bring my soil on not as high so all of this area can dry off better. Yeah, the next time I repot this, I'll be able to get rid of even a few more of these roots. They're all similar color here. I'm going to cut that one off right here. It's nice to hear the birds. The robins are here looking for nest material. They certainly find a lot in my yard with all these little twigs I'm cutting off. All right. That was a crossing root that I was working on there, trying to cut that off. There's more roots down below this soil. There's still a lot of soil in here. I can almost give this one more washing before I go ahead and repot. got all kinds of little tiny roots in there that are just kind of wondering where they can go. We might get some suckers from there this year too. Now the chopstick goes all the way through, so for the heck of it, can we... nope. These trees are together forever. Let's break loose these trees. Alright. And this one. There. I was pulling this over this way a little bit. Don't know how much that helped. We'll see this year. I love how that formed down here though. This Y junction down here. This V junction. Very cool. Then I got this branch right in the middle here, trying to survive the forest and come out here and become, you know, viable. And it's growing this way up here. So let's turn this over this pot again. Now the only problem with putting it back in this pot is I don't have any new options for fronts. Do I want that big tree as my front? I probably do. That's what it was before. So the other option I have, I certainly can't go into this size pot. As you can see, the roots barely fit in there now. But then this is way too mammoth of a forest and a tree structure to be in this small a pot. So if I had one in between these two, that would be great. This one is too deep. I don't like that depth anymore. Oh, I just broke off this interior branch. Gotta be careful handling my trees. So I had this watering bin from before from another tree. They don't have any drain holes in it yet. This is a watering 3-gallon water bowl for animals, and I can have a round forest. Plenty of root growth left and right for the future growth pattern. Trim off a few on the rectangle, make it look a little less rectangle-y. But then I can futz with the front of the tree. So instead of having my limitation being here, I can go like this so we can see this tree in the back on a round pot. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to drill some holes into this guy right here, and this is going to be my new pot because it's at least 1 inch, maybe 2 shallower, and it's going to be a wider round. So here's how big this one is compared, at least 1 inch shallower. So we're going to drill some holes into this plastic pot. We're going to be able to change up the front of this forest so we can see this tree right here through the eye of the viewer. So let me step back and take a look at that with you. Just so slightly we change our forest look, and there you go. Now I can see this different thicknesses. I've got this guy coming off here, this one up here. This is the main thick old tree, this one in the back, and this guy, who knows. And then we'll get a little bit of growth, hopefully with some suckers. We maybe get one coming out over this side down the road or something in the back. And there we have a decent tree. I got some holes to drill so we can get this thing repotted. When I'm wiring this tree in, I don't want to damage any of the exposed roots, so I'll have to tuck some underneath again. I got 2 nice sections here I can put the wire over here. So I'm going to put some wire here in this back corner and then here in this corner and see if that will be where I need to be. Yep, I got 2 holes that I'm looking at. I think I'll be just fine. Now the wire has a tendency to push up the blue sheetrock tape, so you have to make sure that you hold it down. And then one thing to remember too when you're putting in the wire, you often want to put the wire on the inside of the hole. So if you have a hole right here, you don't want to put the wire here, you want to put the wire here so it rubs up against the edge of that pot where the hole is. And then on this side, it's going to go on this side of the hole so they can pull taut against the plastic instead of this gaping hole, which then shrinks up your blue tape. It makes holes So then you possibly kind of null and void all the work you did covering up that hole with some of that tape. So see if I can show you that when I'm done getting this one up. There, so if I have a hole here, I want the wire to be closest to the edge of the hole here, not up at this edge. So if there's a hole right there, you want it to be on this edge, not up here, so it's not gonna bend this blue stuff all over the place. And the blue stuff for here is gonna be not sticking because this pot is a little wet. But as soon as I put the soil on top of it, it'll hold it all in place and we'll be good to go. I'm gonna go through all my buckets today. Okay, let's see if that's high enough. That looks high enough. So somewhere right in that range. So I can see that tree. And you can, with the beauty of a round pot right now, is I can turn this around and it'll look good almost from any direction. But that's going to be where we want it to be. So now I'm going to fit this wire under this root if I can. Now let's get this one instead. I wasn't able to kind of scoop it under there, so I'm going to bend the wire to make a little bit of a loop. And that worked. So I went underneath that root right here. I'm going to bring it to this front spot and we are going to tie. I had 3 tie spots last time. I know now that I do not need 3. These 2 will be just fine. Lift it up and twist them in there. That's number 1. Number 2, I want to go underneath some roots as well. So I was able to slide this wire underneath that root. We're going to connect right about here. It's in there pretty good. I'm gonna give one more spin. All right. I'm gonna cut off some of this extra so it's not too big, so it's gonna impede any roots. There we go. I gotta get some more soil so we can finish up this job. The next goal for this tree is going to be to find that pot for me. So I've got 2 years to find a pot for the birch forest. I'm going to have a pot that's going to hopefully, make the white pop. This green is not going to be ideal right now for this color, for the white necessarily. For the leaves when it comes on, it'll clash. So keep in mind that this is just a training pot. It's what I had on hand to fit my forest. I didn't have a lot of the right size flat pot in a gray or black, more plastic training pot in the flatter variety. So I'm just going to use this, and this will be just fine. The tree will be good and healthy in this pot. I won't be worried about it at all. All So we're gonna fill in those holes. And then we'll see if we want to trim any of the branches off this year. So we can see a little bit more of the exposed roots this time around. Repot this next time, we'll get even more of that black dirt out of there if there's any left. So right now, that's kind of what it's looking like. Twist that around for you just a little bit. Right there, you see that tree in the back? So I got this root right here that may come off one day. It's a little high and exposed. If it thickens up, that might be nice. This one's off here. It'd be nice if I had one grow out this way. This could be a root graft someday. I don't know how root grafts work on birches, if they do at all. But this is a forest planting where all kinds of suckers could come up this year, and we'll just wait and see. Okay. So I do have some water left over. Let me go ahead and move this over. Get rid of my thick soil. I'll help clean off my bench a little bit more. And let's just get some initial water in there. And we'll see if I want to trim any branches off of this today. There are a couple that I've thought about. But we are doing a really pretty heavy, this is a pretty heavy repot today. So we got rid of a fair amount of roots. Got rid of a lot of the old soil. And there's bottle number 2. That's all my bottles. I'll have to use the hose for the rest of this one. We'll wait till some sphagnum moss is on here. Yeah, water just getting to the bottom. So, with this as the new front, I have to figure out what kind of branches I might consider cutting off. I like how this brings this tree more into focus. It still has this weird branch growing between the trees, but I'm going to leave that for now. I could cut off this one here, but I just like this little empty space being filled. These two are doing great out here. The tree I considered chopping earlier is this one right here. But from this side, well, that could be nice. Fills it in over here if I get rid of this part of the tree over here. I think what I'll do is I'll go part way and I'll chop it here for this one to be the new leader right here. And we'll see how that goes. Now I think I'm just gonna leave it. This is the shortest tree right now. This is my big jumbo. So again, this was a 6-8 foot tree. Now it's about 3 feet to here. With this big growth right here, this is a huge chop obviously that I had, and this has become the new leader. I could go down to this one here and make this the new leader and hope that it survives. Again, with birch tree, you never know what's going to fall off. So I'm inclined to not do that at the moment. This one grows pretty straight up in the back, but if I chopped it here in the front, you'd see it. This is the main part of the tree. I'm inclined to just leave this one alone right now. I think I'll leave this one alone. I think I'll just shorten them up for right now. Again, you don't know when a branch is going to fall off of these birch, so these are close to each other, but there's no bulge yet, and I'm just going to leave them there. I don't know which one's going to be stronger longer. So just a little trim. Got plenty of buds here to grow to. one has a weird one growing back here. So we're just going to chop that off. A couple of damaged branches from me rolling it around here in the repot. All right. So just cleaning up some of the dead stuff, some of the stuff that we want to just maybe slow it down a little bit. Redirect some of the balance. And this thing, hopefully we'll get a whole bunch of new suckers this year. And we're just going to leave it at that for right now. Let's get some sphagnum moss on here and go water it down and put it back under some partial sun. We'll give it a good watering. And then this is another tree where it's not too heavy for me. It's kind of a pain, but it's not too heavy for me to put in the garage at night. So I'm going to put this in the garage at night for the first couple days here until I know it's going to only get down into the 40s for lows. When it gets down in the 40s for lows, I'll know that this will be okay. Let's bring this in the sun and get some water on it. A little calm moment in the wind right now. I'm taking a look at the tree after watering it, and the problem I have with the forest is that 3 of the trees are really close in similar height. So I want to try to offset the height a little bit. Now they're all similar thickness and trunk, so they might be the same age and might be the same height if they had all the same sun exposure. So it's not awful, but here comes a gust of wind. I'm going to try to trim these a little bit and see if I can offset the height just a little bit. Some free mulch in there from chipping these out a little bit. I got a couple of chops here to make the size of the tree a little bit more alternating. We've got the sphagnum moss. The roots seem to be in pretty good shape. We're going to put it back outside for now, keep it outside in some filtered sun, and then I'm going to make sure that I put this in the garage for the overnight so we don't get much below 40 degrees. My garage should be good for the rest of the spring at that temperature. So I like it. I hope it starts to turn white in the next year or two. We've got a pot to start looking for, so I can't wait to find something there. Hopefully I can find a real nice pot that's not over the top expensive, but that'll really suit this tree when it gets a white bark, and it'll have all its nice green leaves, white bark, and just an awesome, fun little birch tree forest, white paper birch. All right, that does it. Hey, thanks for watching. Take care of your bonsai, and we'll catch you on the next one.